a lot of people lose people tragically. A lot of people have lost people that they wish they had said things to, or they wish they had heard things from. And in connecting someone, you can facilitate a conversation between them that wasn't heard. And this can, especially if the person hasn't had a goodbye. So a goodbye is always a big one. So for me to hear that healing around, of to facilitate that for someone, imagine the healing that comes from hearing that. And that's the beautiful part about mediumship.
Hello, my loves, and welcome to Create Your Life. My name is Simone Leah, and I am your host. And I am so excited to be here with you guys today, because today I have the absolute pleasure and honor of bringing you guys Em from Your Soul Guide, who is a very good friend of mine, used to be my hairdresser, and is literally a phenomenal spiritual mentor and medium. And we are here to talk about what happens when you listen to your intuition and completely transform your life and business. How are you, Em? Thank you for being here.
Hey, thank you, Simone. So nice to be here. Thanks for having me in that beautiful introduction.
Oh my God. I feel honored because I've been there. We were just talking before that we've known each other for more than 4 years now. And for me, watching your journey, because I really feel that you're someone who, by listening to your intuition, your entire business has just fallen into place. And it's been such a beautiful unfolding to literally bear witness to. So I'm just in awe of you. And I just love how that all happened. But before we go into it, before I get carried away, let me ask you, what does creating a life you love mean to you?
It's interesting when you asked me that question before, I was like, oh gosh, okay. I feel like I'm on the spot, but I really do feel like, I guess it's just about doing what lights you up, really doing what fulfills you. And when you are passionate about something as well, it's really about being passionate. For me, it's about helping and supporting other people. And many jobs I've had through my life, I have always been that person, at that business or whatever that people came to. And for me, it's just being able to do what I love.
Yeah. I love that. I love that creating a life you love is being able to do what you love, because that's what is my driver as well. I'm I want everyone to do what they love. So I literally
Yeah.
love that. So let's jump in and talk about you, because not that long ago, you had a beauty business, and then you kind of came out of the spiritual closet, and ever since then everything's just unfolded so amazingly. So let's have a little convo about that. Do you want to fill people in on your journey?
Mm. Yeah, definitely. And I guess, being in the spiritual space as well. And I always, I guess from being late teens, I always was drawn to spiritualism. It was always something that intrigued me, and that I used to watch programs, on the TV and that kind of thing. And so I used to do all that stuff kind of behind the scenes, I think. Not a lot of people knew that I would go and watch, I guess, mediums and things. People knew I did that, but they didn't actually know what went on behind closed doors, I guess, and the stuff that I was doing behind the scenes. And I was very much in, yeah, the spiritual closet, as it's known. And I was just looking back on my journey, and I said to you before, I had launched my Facebook page about 4 years ago, and it was nothing on there of me, nothing to do with me. Nobody would link it to me. And then I guess I had some kind of awakening, and what I mean by that is, I had this understanding that I was meant to share this. It came to me that I needed to share, and it was time for me to really step into who I was authentically, because I was in effect, living two separate kind of lives. I had my, outside me, and then I had my spiritual me, and they were very much separate. And this is like the one thing that I didn't want. I wanted to really claim that for myself, and come out. And it is a little bit of a journey to do that for anyone that's in that space, to really embody those parts of you that you think might have you rejected. That's what comes up, right? It's the rejection, the fear that people might judge you or reject you. Yeah, that's pretty much. And then I did it. And guess what? Nothing happened. Nothing happened. It was all just a big build up for nothing.
I love this, but at least you did it, because that's the thing, is it's like what I love is like you've gone from being in the spiritual closet, and you are such a powerful medium. Like you're so on with that. That's literally your thing, and you're so good at it. And you've gone from being someone who works like from home, having her beauty business, which I love, to being someone who works with clients internationally and runs courses internationally so organically. How did you get out of your own way to let all that just unfold naturally with your intuition?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And thanks for asking that, because a lot of people are actually stuck there. A lot of people are still in fear of what people will think of them, or, that fear of rejection if they, come out and say that they're into this kind of, this kind of work. And it was a journey for me, I'll have to be honest. And it started with me understanding, or waking up one day and going, there's something more than this. Like, there's something more. I know, I feel it. Like a feeling. I know that I'm meant to do something. And, it's hard. And yeah, and I went on a journey, and the journey was actually inside. The journey was inside. So how I got there was I journeyed into me. I asked the universe, I need someone that can help me move through whatever it is that I'm going on now, and trusting the floor, and trusting universe, spirit, God, source, however you want to call it, is good, however you want to receive that. And for me, it was then following the breadcrumbs. And I say this all the time, like my students get sick of me saying this. I'm always like, follow the breadcrumbs. And what I mean by that is I was presented with a retreat that I seen. And immediately when I seen it, I knew I had to go. And I followed that. I followed that breadcrumb. I was like, I know I need to be in this space. I followed that. And that was my first mentor that I found, that she really helped me move all my crap, all my beliefs, all my programming, and really step into the person that I wanted to be without fear as well, without fear.
I love that. I just love that so much, the following of the breadcrumbs, and just kind of like getting like, I don't know, just allowing, because from the outside, to me, it literally looks like you just followed your intuition. And that's the thing that's so magical, is because I mean, a lot of people, they talk about feminine and masculine energy, and masculine energy is that drive energy. It's that go out there and it's make it happen. And the feminine energy is where you're just sitting and receiving. And that's where I think your journey has been so beautiful, is because it's like you've received the download, you've actioned it, and that's what's completely transformed your life, to me, from the outside. Like, yeah, it's not so much that you haven't done the masculine of doing the work as well, but that's been led by the feminine receiving of you actually getting those downloads. So obviously we've talked about getting out of your own way. how did you actually go about listening to your intuition? Like, I know you said that you were connecting in with yourself, but I also know that you have a busy life. What were you doing to actually build that listening to the intuition muscle, listening to your psychic, and developing your psychic abilities? Were you meditating for 2 hours every morning, or what did the actual like strengthening of those muscles look like for you? Because you have just like, yeah, you're just so tapped in, and it's so beautiful to see. So how did you get there?
Yeah, so I love this as well. I love it. Okay, so I was like literally the worst meditation person that you could ask for because I literally lived in my head. Like, and through my healing work that I ventured out and I did, and I followed the breadcrumbs, I learned how to trust my body, trust the instincts of my body, trust what's right for me rather than trying to like make the decision, is this right for me? Now I feel for everything. And so no, meditation was not on the top of my list, I have to be honest. And while I love meditation, and I do, I truly believe that even 10 minutes a day of meditation is totally good for the soul and for the body. It's not required that you do it for hours. Even if that's what you want to do, amazing. I love that for you. It's not for me. And this is the biggest thing, right? You're on your own journey. And this is what I want to say to anyone. Listen, you're on your own journey. So if someone says to you, you have to meditate for 2 hours and it doesn't feel right for you, then it's not for you. And you get to choose the bits that you put in to your own journey, because that's empowerment. And I think I just got off topic there. But what I'm going to say is that how I did that was community. That's the first thing I'm going to say. So I knew that I needed to find somewhere where I felt safe and accepted. So at the time, there was a beautiful circle that was running probably 25 minutes from my house in person. Obviously, this was before everything was mainly in person. And I started going to this beautiful circle. And I met so many beautiful women. And each week we'd work on a different topic about spirit guides and about receiving information and, past lives. And I was intrigued by it all. And I just went down a massive rabbit hole, a massive rabbit hole, everything about that. Yeah. So community. And the biggest thing for me is when I made the decision. So when I made the decision to come out and step into my spirituality and embody it, what then happened was something actually quite amazing, because the universe started to send me people in my path that were also mediums and were in the spiritual space. I would just meet people randomly and get talking to them, or randomly, thanks universe, and and then get talking to them and then realize that they're in this space. And that's how you and I also got talking about it, right? Because neither of us had ever really spoken about that stuff. We were very much doing this surface level chatting until one day, all of a sudden, I don't even remember how it happened, and we were like, oh.
Yeah. I can't remember how we brought it up either. I don't remember what happened either. But yeah, I'm so glad that did happen. And I agree with you about the little synchronicities of the universe leading you and breadcrumbing you to the right people. And I love that.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely love all of this and agree. If someone wanted to develop their abilities to be a medium, which is what you're phenomenal at, how would they do that?
I think the first thing that I want to say, all psychics, we are all mediums. And this is something I'm really passionate about sharing, is that nobody is more gifted than anyone else. Yes, some people have or are aware of their gifts a lot earlier in their life. And you will hear people that say, I'm born, or I was born, or I'm third generation medium, and that's amazing. However, there's so many people who come into their abilities much later in their life, and they don't believe that they are a medium or a psychic because they have come to understand that you have to be born with it. And this was me. So this was me for all of my life. I had all of these things that were happening to me, I guess. And I always believed they were outside of me. So the first thing that I want to say to anyone is that if you have, weird things that happen to you, unexplained things that happen to you, however you want to put that, you receive information, you get downloads, you are a psychic and you are a medium. We all are. And some people are going to choose to develop that and some are not. The first thing I would just say is just start taking action on your intuition. That's the biggest thing, right? We get so many intuitive downloads and we go, oh no, I can't do that. Oh no, I shouldn't really do that. Oh no, I decided to do that. I can't really do that. And these are the breadcrumbs. The intuitive downloads are the breadcrumbs. So imagine if one day you just decided to follow some kind of intuitive hit that you got and drove a different way to work that day, or wore a particular dress that day. And if I can share, I would love to share a little story with you.
Yeah.
And I was in the coffee queue for a coffee one day, and I'd just been walking with my friend, and I was standing in this coffee queue, and everyone was kind of in active wear. It was out at the beach, and there was this little red flowery dress on, and I literally got this download: tell this lady that her dress looks pretty. And I was like, oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. That's just weird. Like, I can't. This is exactly what happened. And this was a conversation I had in my head, right? But at that point, I had said, I'm going to trust everything that I receive and I'm going to act on it. And this was scary. It was scary for me because I'm a control person. I wanted to be in control of everything. And was like, what if she goes, oh, that's weird, So there was all this thing. I was having this argument with myself in my head. Anyway, she got her coffee and she turned around and she just made eye contact with me straight away. And I said to her, your dress is so beautiful. And she was like, oh, thank you. Anyway, to could have been for hours chatting after that is that she's clairvoyant. So I asked her, what do you do for a job? And she goes, I'm a clairvoyant. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. Universe putting people in front of you in particular time, and that's sort of beautiful story of when I decided to trust my intuition. And this is how you strengthen that trust with yourself. It's about, it's about taking action, but in a way that feels, in flow.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you. And I also have so many of the same stories of you follow your intuition. You're like, oh, thanks, guides, or thanks, universe. So I literally love that. And it makes me want to ask you, what did you do when the times it was hard? Because realistically, you have been in flow and following your intuition, and you've had to learn all of these new skills and build online courses. And I don't know if you ever got judged from anyone and all of that sort of stuff. But what did you do when the times got hard? Because your life has just completely, I don't know, unfolded in such a beautiful way. So how did you handle the contrasty bits, we'll call them?
Yeah, definitely. And it's a really good question, right? Because not everything is always up. There's polarity to everything. And I truly believe that. And I've really, in the beginning, yes, it was more difficult. But what I had learned was I actually took myself through to learn the tools myself in order to really separate, okay, what is it here that I'm avoiding? What's the underlying avoidance of this? And I've really met myself on such a deep level that I'm able to separate the two things. Is this someone else's piece? And yes, I have had judgment and I have had rejection. However, I've been able to separate what pieces of this belong to me and what pieces are just projection from someone else that needs to go and do the work, right? Because, anything that comes outside of me now, it can't affect inside of me because I've done the work on myself. And what I mean by work is, clearing out all the limiting beliefs, clearing out the misunderstandings I had about myself, that fear of judgment, the fear of rejection, because nobody can reject you if you don't reject yourself, and it's everything is mirrored back. And the two things that are the biggest thing that I would say are, and it's not to say it doesn't happen to me now, it does, but I can process it much more quickly and not sit in it. So, that could be, really looking at, okay, what is this piece mirroring back to me? And also get curious. The two things I always say is get curious and that's interesting. It's the two statements that I like to use. So if something happens, I go, that's interesting. And then I get curious. Okay, what's coming up for me now? What do I need to work through? What am I being shown and mirrored? And it's healing isn't linear. Like the work it's just peeling back the onion, and it's about self-awareness. And this is the biggest thing, one of the other biggest thing that I'm passionate about. It's self-awareness, because there's so much projection and ego as well in the spiritual space. There is, okay, maybe I'll get some judgment for that, but hello. But there is, right? So it's about leading from the heart, and that's what I'm about. That's what I teach my students. I teach them, you get to choose your own journey. You get to choose the pieces that you want to put in there and the pieces that you don't. And I think that's the biggest thing. When the times get hard, I probably have a tantrum, and then I go, okay, what do I need to learn? Right? Triggers are teachers. Yay. I remember when my beautiful healing mentor said that to me in this first retreat I went to. She was like, triggers are teachers. And I was like, what the heck? I just couldn't see it. Like my brain was conditioned to look here. And now I've reprogrammed myself, and I have met myself on a much deeper, authentic level.
I absolutely love all of this. Thank you for sharing. I'm like, that's a quote, that's a quote, that's a quote. And I'm like, we're on the same page. I think the exact same things. And I'm like, I'm loving it. I'm like, audience needs to be writing notes. You guys, you need to be taking notes. There's so many little gold nuggets in this. Like, there's just so much good stuff. And also, thank you for admitting that if there's a little bit of contrast, you might have a tantrum. Me too.
Yeah, that's just my inner child. She just wants to like play out, stamp her feet a little bit, and then yeah.
I'm the same. Mine's like, it's kind of like, I don't know if there's like, I don't really know any of that, like those procedures for like when you're turning your life around. But mine's like, there'll be that little flash of anger and tantrum, and then there'll be the cry, and then it'll be fine. And so I know for me, like, I love that you admitted that, yeah, okay, that it's not all bed of roses. It's not all just going to be smooth sailing. And there's contrast in life for a reason. How are you supposed to know what an amazing day feels like if there's no contrast? How are you supposed to know where your next level is if you don't know where you're at now? And having that self-awareness, I also agree, is one of the most important things. Like, to me, self-awareness is like one of the biggest things that people need, is just taking that time to reflect and move through whatever is coming up for them. So I just love everything you just shared then. I think it's all amazing and I really love it. Now, one, I'd love to talk to you as well because you really work a lot as a medium. And I'd love to hear about your experience with this because not everyone is a medium. They've got it. But I mean, a lot of other people are like, all right, I'm a spiritual business mentor. I'll see your business blueprint, or I'm clairvoyant. I'll do this. Whereas with you, you're literally talking to spirits all the time. So how has this transformed your life and what is this all about?
Yeah, I guess the mediumship side of it, it was always my passion. And I'll share when I started my beauty business, I did I might have shared this with you, like a business plan for my business. And there was one question on there and it said, if you could do anything in the world, what would it be that you would do? And I wrote down, I'd be a medium. That's what I wrote on my business plan. And I still have it. And the one thing that I want to say is that if you're curious, right? If you're curious about the spirit world, if you're curious about, this, speaking to people that have passed over, maybe you've had a little bit of time where you've had dreams and people have come to you and you've got downloads of messages, like spirit love to talk to us in that sleep state, that awareness between awake and asleep, because we're in that mediumship frequency there where we can actually receive, a lot of us receive our downloads before sleep and then we're that kind of thing. So I guess going back to the medium side of it is that I knew I was passionate about teaching or helping other people to remember their own mediumship gifts. And I'm very much more in the mediumship space than the psychic space and always have been. And for any listeners that might not know the difference, psychic is when you read the person that you're with or you're reading for, you tap into their energy field and you have the downloads from that. And mediumship is actually going to the spirit world and speaking to someone that has passed over to bring through messages of healing is what I believe. And this is why mediumship is so important to me. I truly believe, and this is my belief, is that mediumship is a healing modality. That's what I believe, because I have seen the transformations and healing that comes from bringing through a loved one from someone where there's lots of unanswered questions, lots of things that haven't been said and that need to be heard. And this is what I just love. And the other thing, I guess, is that the mediumship industry, I guess, if you want to call it an industry, community, maybe we could say, there's a preconception or a misconception that goes with very traditional mediumship. I love traditional mediumship. I did a lot of training in traditional style mediumship. However, it has you believe that it takes like 7 to 10 years to be a confident medium, to get out there and do readings for people. And I see it so differently from that, because I then found a mentor that I worked with that was teaching something a little bit different. And I guess unconventional, because it was off that traditional line. And within 12 months of working in this way, for me, I completely changed my life. I launched my business. I started helping people. And it made me question a lot of things. And this is what I talk to people about. Your belief system is yours. Somebody else has their own belief system. And you get to choose what goes also in your belief system. Yeah. So that was the journey in mediumship for me, is the healing that it can provide. And I was kind of like, why do I need to wait 7 years to provide healing for people? it doesn't make sense to me. And because I wasn't looking at it's going to take me that long to do readings for people, I was like, I don't want it to take that long for me to heal people, or help them heal themselves, I guess, through spirit.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. I also know, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this, that you're actually in the process of putting together a podcast where you share mediumship stories. I'd love to know how it is that mediumship and sharing mediumship stories, how does that heal people? Because a lot of people are like, all right, if I go in and do the inner child work, I'm working on myself. But how does mediumship, what is the level that actually helps with the healing there?
Yeah, okay. For me, and this is again, sharing my belief system. So please just take what resonates with you is, a lot of people lose people tragically. A lot of people have lost people that they wish they had said things to, or they wish they had heard things from. And in connecting someone to their, you can facilitate a conversation between them that wasn't heard. And this can, especially if the person hasn't had a goodbye. So a goodbye is always a big one, around things like having to make decisions on whether, I had a beautiful lady came to me at a market I was reading, and I connected him with her mom, and her mom told me she was holding all this guilt. There was this guilt around, did she make the right decision? And she had to make the decision to turn off her, mum's machine. And she had held that guilt for 6 years. And I was able to facilitate a message from her mom around having to release the guilt, because her mum lived this beautiful long life and there was nothing else that she would have needed. She was ready, is what she had told me. So for me to hear that healing around, of to facilitate that for someone, imagine the healing that comes from hearing that. And that's the beautiful part about mediumship.
I love that. Thank you so much. And I kind of just got the download like, yes, everything is just us pushed out. I totally 100% agree with that. But kind of sounds like with mediumship, like everybody talks about inner child work, where you go back to the point of trauma and you kind of have that conversation with yourself to shift your perception and what you're holding on to around that particular event. And so mediumship, it sounds like when instead of going in and connecting with your inner child, you're connecting with the outward of that particular event, like in your case, the mother, to change the perception around that, because she'd been holding all this guilt and all this trauma. And the mum was like, no, like, you don't need to hold on to this, let it go. And so
Yeah.
it's almost kind of like inner child work is the inner work of this, and mediumship is allowing for that outer as well. And I think it's so beautiful to have that balance of acknowledging that, yes, everything is us, but also there is that outside world. We're not living in just a spiritual space. We do have that 3D. So allowing that message to come through and shift the perception of events and release the trauma that holds. You just speak about that so beautifully, and you bring such a new level of awareness to how that can actually take lives, change lives. Like, you just bring such a
Yeah,
beautiful awareness to that.
definitely. And I think it's important to remember the daughter, she was the holding on to her belief and her perception of what happened. She wasn't able to ask mom, right? So she's holding on to her perception of it, and to be able to bring in her mom and give her mom's perception, which she can't get herself, right? Is showing that like what you believe about the situation wasn't how your mum feels about that. And that's that guilt, right? So we're holding guilt, like, did we do the right thing? Was that the right choice? And I have done many readings for especially mums who've lost children, around, things like that, around the guilt that they're holding, when they lose their child. Could they have done more? Should they have done something differently? And interestingly, I actually did a reading yesterday morning, exactly that, where it was a son who came through for a mom, and it was around the choices that he made led to what happened, and that she couldn't have been any better of a mom. She taught him better and he didn't listen. And for me, wow, like, wow, I just feel so privileged to be able to do that, and to bring that through, and to bring her healing, to understand that he took responsibility for his pieces, right? And these are the pieces that she was holding.
I love this so much. Like, honestly, like, yeah,
It
I
just
just
fills me up.
honestly,
I've just got dead emotional.
I was like, this is so beautiful because I've never heard people talk about mediumship so passionately, so eloquently, but also using it for such a deep and transformational modality. Like, I've just never heard people talk about it in that way.
Yeah.
And it is so beautiful. Like, yeah, just listening to you and feeling the energy that would be moving and lifting for those women, like just feeling how much that would be transforming and completely changing their lives to have that moment of being seen and heard, and then also having that acknowledgement from the other party as well, and then being able to just move forward and let it go. Like, it sounds so transformational.
And look, there those people, when we lose someone, we always hold on to that. There's always the things like, when my dad passed, I didn't get a goodbye, either. And there is those things, because it's like there's unsaid things, there's things I wanted to say to you, and some people are angry, some people hold anger, like they're angry with their person, or they have things that they wanted to say, and also maybe they wanted to hear back, right, that they didn't get the opportunity. And I really do feel like, mediumship is just a bridge for that. I'm just a bridge to bridge the conversation that just never happened. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. To bridge the conversation that never happened. That is
Mm.
so beautiful. We write that down. Write that down. Great tagline.
Yes.
I love that so much. That is so beautiful. So if people wanted to get started in like following their intuition, getting into their psychic abilities and mediumship, what are 3 tips you would give them to help them to kind of start on that journey?
So, intuition wise, definitely what I shared earlier, just start like making decisions from the first thing. So it's like your intuition works, and it's like a millisecond, right? Your intuition, your higher self, like I just kind of put it all in one big bubble for me. Is that, you've got about 5 seconds when you get a download, when you hear something, that your brain then makes a decision. Is it going to fight, or is it going to flight? What's it going to do? Within that first 5 minutes is you have to take action. So if you get it download, you write it down, have a journal, just start dumping things into like an idea journal. Like, I've got a journal that says ideas. I get downloads so much that I have to write them down because I never remember. So that's the first thing that I would say. Just start dumping things down that you get in your mind. And it's almost like joining the dots. I find like I just dump it all on pages, and then it's like, oh, it joins the dots somewhere. And that's how I get my best downloads for work, for my students, and everything as well. And the second thing I would do is, in going inward a little bit, Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now, is an absolutely amazing book. And it talks about how everything is now. Everything is right now. Nothing's in the future. Nothing's in the past. What matters is what you do and take action right now. So if now, it's actually now. So that's an amazing book that I would definitely look at too. And also just seeking some communities. Like, I do have a beautiful Facebook group on mediumship development, specifically for mediumship. And, we do some little exercises in there. We do some sharing in there as well. And just put yourself in some communities. And I guess the most important thing about that is just feeling for whether this community is right. And when I first started this, I joined so many Facebook communities, and it can be overwhelming. So it's also not everyone is going to be in the frequency that you want to work, or the frequency of you. So just get in there, have a look, have a feel. And I guess that's the biggest thing. Feel. You have to start feeling more and thinking less.
Yeah, I love that. I wish we'd spent more time on that topic too. We'll have to do another.
We could just talk for hours,
Yeah, exactly. Especially because it's such an interesting subject matter, always. And so I was going to ask what you would recommend as recommended resources, but you've said Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now, which amazing book. Love that myself. Are there any other resources you can recommend? You said you've got a Facebook group. Is that a free Facebook group? People
I do. Yeah, it is a free Facebook group, and once a month I actually do at this moment do a free masterclass as well, monthly. So a monthly masterclass, it is free as well, that you can come along and have a look and connect with me, and see if you resonate with me. I think the most important thing is, I guess if you're just starting out, right, I would just say find a mentor. That's what I would do, because I honestly I spent so long, probably around about 2 years, doing little bits of courses here and there. And what I found is a lot of the information is conflicting. So you need to just find someone that's talking your language. So that means that if you're listening to me and you're like, oh my gosh, that resonates with me, then maybe I'm a person that you want to connect with. And that's really important, because there is lots of mentors out there, and I'm not going to be for everyone, and I understand that. And also, you just need to do your due diligence and make sure you find someone that's really aligned. And the reason why they're aligned is because when you're excited when you hear them talk, you're like, oh my gosh, that's so good. And so it's really about the energy of the connection with people as well. I started as well right at the beginning is I loved Gabby Bernstein. She is amazing, and I love her, and I connected, and I did her like little manifestation course and things like that. I also do have a kind of a beginner's online course. So it's a 6-week self-paced course, and we literally go through, all of this stuff as well. All of what I've learned, I share.
Yes, I love this. Thank you. And I also love Gabby. I love that. Where can people find you?
So you can find me. I do have a website, and it is just my name, stavisky.com. It's pretty easy. I'm sure we'll catch that in somewhere in the notes. And my Facebook group is the Modern Mediumship Development is my group. Excuse me. And you can find me there. You can join. It's very aligned. I keep a very close circle. So it's not just a drop-in circle. It is very aligned. All of the people in there are very heartfelt, which is really important to me. And and the Modern Mediumship Academy is where all the magic happens.
Yay, I love this. So you've got the courses, you've got Facebook, you've got a website, Instagram.
Love. Yes, Instagram is the same as well. Yeah.
I will link I'll link it all below so that everybody's got it, because I know that they're going to want to connect with you and be in your world, just like me. I love being in your world.
Podcast coming soon.
I know. I'm so excited about that. Okay, we've got time. Do you want to spend a minute just to tell people what the podcast is going to be about? Because I'm super pumped for that.
Yes, I'm actually really excited, and it has been on my to-do list for some time. And I've had the nudge to just get on with it. So that's what I'm doing. So in my podcast, I am a storyteller. Everyone I meet always tells me, "Oh my gosh, you've got so much amazing stories." And I come to understand that people are so interested and intrigued when I tell them some of the stories from spirit that I have experienced, which are some of them are like, yeah, pretty powerful. And so I've decided to open up my diary and tell some of my stories of the experiences that I have had with spirit. And also in the podcast, I'm going to share different tips. I'm going to share how I So within 4 years from the spiritual closet to being a spiritual mentor, and how it doesn't have to take so long. So just a bit of myth buff. What's the word?
Myth busting.
Yes. I couldn't find the word there. Yeah, but also I'm going to share some tips and tricks, and I'm also going to interview so many beautiful people who have lost loved ones and the experiences that they have had after their passing. And often this leads to them really stepping into their own spiritual abilities and helping other people because they understand the power of the healing of mediumship. And I have so many wonderful people in my community along my way that I have met that I'm excited to interview and get them to tell their stories as well. So I'm actually really excited. I'm talking about it. My energy has just gone really sky high. Woo, I just got hot.
I'm super excited about it too. Oh, I'm so excited to hear it. I love all this sort of stuff. Like, I think it's going to be phenomenal. I can't wait until it comes out. Once it does come out, guys, whenever you're watching or listening to this episode, I'll have the podcast linked below as well. So you'll be able to see that. So, because I know you guys are going to be as interested as I am, because it's going to be amazing. But
Yeah.
thank you so much for being here, Em. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. And I've so
Yes.
much enjoyed this conversation.
Me too. Always, always. I love it. Thank you. I love connecting with you.
Thank you.